He offered a future. There was so much money. There were cars and houses, resorts and vacations, rooms full of books. The places he'd take her, he said, as if citing the Dr. Seuss book he'd received upon graduating. It was all nonsense. She'd listened to it, already weary, hands on the wheel in the car in the dark. There were several things she had wanted him not to say, but she hadn't known what these were until he said them. A few times he mentioned his mother, and the word, Mom, rang out like an accusation, the bell to wake her from a dream. He had tried to talk about the girls at school, how they weren't women, and those words, too, she wished he hadn't said. The word woman made her swell and bloat. Now she quickly downed her wine and poured another glass, keeping her eyes on the boy. They were just several hours down this path, and already she'd riddled the whole thing with mistakes. Wrong choice of location, clearly. She hadn't remembered how far away the cottage was. She might have taken some cash and gone to a hotel instead. Of course, she didn't want to do this in a car or in a bathroom, in any public place. But why hadn't she built a fake scenario so Jamie wouldn't be suspicious? Why hadn't she asked the boy if he had any good ideas about where to go? Why not buy him a ticket for some weekend destination and meet him there? Why not pretend to go to a conference? Why not do this in such a way that Jamie would never know? Why the fuck had she left the way she had? I just have to get some air. Don't leave like this, Francine. I'm going to work. I'll be home in the morning. Don't wait up. And then the squeal of her tires. Jamie backlit in the doorframe as he held their younger son, both bewildered, both sweet, and still in love with her. The boy picked up his glass casually, took a neat sip. His pants had cuffs at the ankle. His shoes were what she'd have called moccasins. None of his style choices were familiar to her. He pulled at the bottom of his sweater, that small tug the only indication so far that he was nervous. He was unfazed by the wine, even though he wasn't legally able to buy it himself. He was unfazed by the enormity of the cottage her mother owned, an inheritance from their grandfather, because this boy was a boy of the world, a world where all the people had enormous estates. All the people personally knew famous politicians or actors or somebody. His dark eyes weren't pretty, exactly, but they were penetrating. They contained wit. He was a good-looking, self-assured boy. Not a victim, hardly a boy at all. She led him out onto the back deck. "We could light a fire," she said. "We could put on some music." He pulled a small speaker out of his pocket, pressed some icons on his phone, and a low, heavy beat pulsed out. She recognized the song. She had seen him dancing to it once outside the school, had liked the liquid movements of his legs and arms. She hadn't yet felt a desire to touch him, only a desire to watch him move. He had looked up at her, the way he always did, with knowledge and recognition. Who could resist the implication of such a look? "You can't see it in the dark, but there are cornfields all around us," she said. "Oh, yeah?" "There," she said, pointing. She imagined the sound of the fields to be dry and rustling, even though it was barely summer. "And there. When we were little, my twin brother got lost in the corn for a long time. It was really scary. They can kind of swallow you up." "You have a twin brother," the boy said. "Is he exactly like you?" "My brother?" "I want to know everything." "No, you don't," she said. "I do." He continued his chatter, told her he'd be going to Paris with his family in a few weeks, and they always flew first class, and the flight attendants never checked his ID, and his parents let him buy cognac, bourbon, whatever he wanted. These revelations of his naivete were concerning. She wouldn't say the words she suspected he wanted to hear. "Don't go on that trip. I don't want you to go." Though she was jealous of his whole future, his whole life, all of the women he would talk to like this. A silence followed. He lifted her hand and began to move his fingers up and down her fingers, as he had tried to do in the car.